Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. We're going to go through our Q4 release and talk a little bit about our Q1 features that are in the roadmap. We have a team here that will be monitoring the Q&A as well as demoing for you. What's important to note is that the Q&A section is at the bottom of your screens in Zoom. We ask that you make this interactive. Feel free to please ask as many questions as you'd like, and we will have someone from our team answering those questions as we go through our demonstrations. I've put the team up here on the board for you to review. We have people from product ownership, from customer success. Andreas Berggren will be demoing from the platform side. Ola will be demoing our portal solution. Adam will be talking a little bit about Infor M3 and also our designer. And then Aaqil will be demonstrating the IFS applications on our marketplace. And I am your host. So you might also hear from Irshad, who is the product owner of Runtime in the chat, Lloyd, who is the product owner of integrations, and also Alexandra, who is our product owner for AI. The agenda looks a little something like this today. We'll start with some just brief introductions of this meeting. It is our first time hosting this meeting, so we would like to talk to you about the purpose. We'll go through Flow Connect features that we've developed, Infor M3 marketplace features, and then go into the IFS marketplace before landing on Flow Classic. And then we'll finalize here with our next quarterly roadmap to give you a glimpse of what we're looking at in the next quarter and get some feedback from you all. So we have a couple purposes for this quarterly demo, and we want to make sure we align with you, our customers and partners, to make sure that we make this the best for everyone. First and foremost, we want to foster transparency. We want full visibility of what we're doing in R&D. This is our opportunity to show you how our development aligns with your needs, and in hopes that we understand that you understand the direction of our roadmap in the future. It's important that we want your feedback. It is critical to us. So please today use that Q&A and make sure that you get some questions out there. Give us some feedback. Your input helps us ensure that our solutions are tailored to solve the real challenges you face as customers. We do want to highlight what we've delivered in value. So we won't get an opportunity to demonstrate everything that we've developed over the past quarter in this short hour, but we will try to highlight some of the features that we believe add value to you as our customers and partners. And we just want to make sure that those values land and you leave here understanding how you could use those features. We will use a piece of this to validate our roadmap. So we'll talk a little bit about our next quarter. What do we plan on doing from product management, in hopes that then you have an opportunity to share your voice with us. We want to showcase our innovation. We think that our goals of innovating and keeping ahead of the industry, we want to make sure that you share those same goals. We'll share how our solutions are evolving and emerging, using emerging technology trends, in hopes of giving you maybe the competitive advantage. And then one of our most important is that we want to be able to establish this feedback loop. Our goal of this meeting and meetings to come is to make sure that we provide an opportunity for you to share your voice and shape our priorities. So please don't hesitate to share your thoughts with us. For those who have missed our conferences, I would suggest that you go to these YouTube links. We recommend watching our YouTube channel for an overview of Flow Connect. In today's presentation, we'll specifically focus on upcoming features, but to see what we've developed in the past, previously on Flow Connect and other products, please go to our YouTube channel. With that, I will turn it over to Andreas Berggren.
The first feature we want to highlight is interactive authentication. We have added interactive authentication to our REST connector, enabling users to securely log in with their own credentials and access data with their permission. Used with IFS Cloud or Infor M3 Cloud, or countless of REST APIs supporting interactive authentication, such as Microsoft Graph, Google APIs, Salesforce APIs. And the user will be prompted to log in when the first machine or script step is executed. You enable interactive authentication in your app by configuring a REST connector. There are two authentication types, OpenID Connect and OAuth 2 authorization code flow. Display name is the name that will be shown in the client login prompt, so it can be set independently of the connector name. Authorization endpoint, client ID, and scopes for your IDP. And with the feature, we have also added advanced options with extra query parameters and more. A brief recap of Flowscript modules introduced at the latest user conference. What are Flowscript modules? Flowscript modules contain reusable functions, types, and values that can be shared across applications. These modules can be global, available to the entire organization, or local, restricted to a specific application package. Modules are managed just like components. They are committed, versioned, and displayed as dependencies. Why use Flowscript modules? We believe that they will be very useful for packaging REST services such as IFS Cloud projections, Infor M3 programs, and just general REST services. Outlook Attachments is a small demo app that uses interactive authentication in combination with a Flowscript module for the Microsoft Graph API. So let's start in the hub. Outlook Handling API is a module for interacting with Outlook mailboxes. So let's open the app in the designer. We can see that the app references the Outlook module. And in the first user step, we are getting information about the current user with a simple call to a module. Similarly, we can fetch that user's messages for, using our module. So, with interactive authentication, we can allow the user to log in with their own credential without sharing them with the application. So we will now run the application in the client. And in the first step, we get the prompt to log into Flowington Graph API, the display name from our connector configuration. We log in with our Microsoft account. And a list of my messages are shown, and as soon as we get authenticated, and if we click on a message with an attachment, it can be downloaded and viewed. When we close the app and run it again, the token is cached in the client and we don't need to log in again. We immediately see the list of messages. The Outlook attachment component can be downloaded from our marketplace. This brings us to the next topic, and that is share applications. Share applications is a feature used for content from the marketplace and for sharing across organizations. It can include complete packages or individual applications, components, or modules. Shared items will include all dependencies, and connectors will be mapped during import, and the imported content will be committed and ready to use. Support for portal pages will be available in Q1. In this demo, we will share the application package move inventory part from one organization to another. We start by sharing the application package. It's possible to exclude specific applications and select versions with the latest version set as the default. A share link is then created, which can be distributed to the recipient. As the recipient of the share link, I will import the content into my organization. The import wizard begins by displaying information about the shared content, including who shared it and from which organization. We then select the destination organization. Map the connectors. And once the shared content is successfully imported, we will be redirected to the imported package, ready for inspection and testing. And everything is committed and the dependencies are updated. If we open the app in the designer, we can see that the component reference is valid, and we can test the app in the client. It communicates with our new connector and everything seems to work. Move inventory part is part of our warehouse management package in the marketplace. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ola for a portal update.
All right, thank you very much, Andreas. Some cool stuff there for sure. I'm looking forward to that interactive design authentication myself, actually. All right, so on to what we are doing on the portal side in Flow Connect. Our priority right now is to get a one-to-one comparison to the portal in Classic when it comes to the portlets. And so far, we have already in Flow Portal Connect, we have the charts, we have data tree, we have document viewer, record rich text, KPI, card filter, and table. Those are the portlets that we ported over. In the works right now are Kanban, Scheduler, and Gantt, the scheduling portlets. And then we have some portlets left for early 2025 to do. Inbox, applications, menu, HTML, and the map portlet. And so today, what is actually new is that the Kanban portlet is ready to deliver. So I'll actually shift this over to done. So we now have a Kanban in Flow Connect portal. And what is the Kanban? I'm going to do a little quick demo of 3 concepts that we have seen in the wild, but we've simplified them here just to get a little bit of a concept what the Kanban actually is. So this is a Kanban actually. I showed you here in this typical scenario. So Kanban is coming from the lean doctrine. It means signboard or billboard in Japanese, but it's a nice way to visualize stuff. So you can use it for more actually than to do the typical agile or lean based things with the Kanban. So here we are looking at 3 these vertical lanes. They are referred to as static lanes. So typically what we do here is we move cards between the different lanes to give them a different status. So now the Kanban is done. but we can also move things within the same lane vertically to, for example, change prioritization here on the actual cards. So that's one way of using the Kanban. Another scenario could be that we have, say, a big screen somewhere that just wants to show an overview of, for example, deliveries. So we have some deliveries here. I can hover over them to get a little tooltip. These are done within 1 to 7 days. We have some more that are scheduled for a longer time, and one here that is overdue that we might need to tend to. So the Kanban can be used as just an overview of things. This is another lightweight example. We have a CRM Kanban. We have a bunch of happy customers, but unfortunately, we do also have some customers that want some extra attention. So Kanban here, again, you could build support for dragging the cards back and forth, and the Kanban can listen to a filter. So if I were to filter on something here, the Kanban will listen to the filter. We also have support for double-clicking on a Kanban card. So in this case here, we have a set of things. So we have an unhappy customer. We have a set of things we want to do. So I'm choosing this list of things to do. And then it pops up 3 cards for Emma Churchill. Emma is the account manager for this unhappy customer. We also have another time to contact green grow here. So maybe we have another set of things, of tasks we want to do. So these tasks get assigned to Alexandra, and Emma has some tasks. As they work with it, this is typical to Kanban, right? So she starts with it, she completes the task. Same thing with this, and then eventually same thing with this last task there. So when everything is happy, if I refresh the Kanban, they are back to a happy customer, hopefully. And the same thing maybe for that other customer, our Blossom Works Limited. When the work is done, we go back, call them, are you happy? And they are happy. So this is a 3 portlet, 2 Kanbans and 1 filter scenario for maybe some CRM management. And the last one derives from a real scenario out of the customer that had a huge whiteboard with magnetic strips and did planning for different shifts and different craftsmanship throughout the week for even different sites, actually. So it was a pretty big whiteboard, this one. We simplified it a little bit to at least give some inspiration. So here we have a support desk, and we want to staff it. We want to make sure that we have at least 2 people in the support for each day. By dragging out Alexandra here, I assign her to Monday, and she got a little tiny green line to indicate that she is booked. If I also book Alexandra on Tuesday, we are working with a little darker color. And if she would also be on Wednesday, she gets even darker. Daisy gets to get there on Monday. Emma, no, I changed my mind. Emma should be Wednesday. Yeah, I think you get the point. So this is a way to do some really easy scheduling, just to make sure who are going to be, in this case, the support team here. All right. That is what I had for you guys in regards to news in the portal and a little bit of an overview of the Kanban portlet. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Adam for some cool stuff.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Ulla. Let me share my screen and let's kick off. All right, so I hope everybody sees that. So hello everyone, my name is Adam, the Infor M3 Labs at Novacura. So today I would like to focus a little bit on what we've done and accomplished so far in the last quarter of this year, and as well as I'm going to talk a little bit about the Flowscript modules in practice, what Andreas mentioned. When it comes to the accomplishments, basically what we've focused on was basically to lift the applications from our classic repository towards Flow Connect, and supply chain execution naturally was the first module to choose from. So I think we counted up to around 20 applications in total. We also done a little bit of manufacturing execution applications as well. And to demonstrate an example of an app which is done in the Flow Connect, I've decided to go for report receipt manufacturing order. When it comes to report receipt manufacturer, at least in M3, what it does is basically it enables users to report the final goods, final production of the goods. So it's not only about the quantities of those finished goods and the final destination location, but also characteristics of the items if they are assigned to it. And both these obviously come from both item master and a warehouse master. That is basically the overall sketch mockup from the end client perspective, where basically and traditionally what we do is that we first use the user steps where we search for a particular order. In this example, we select the, we sort of get a list of available orders to select from, and then we go through all the report user steps. And all these user steps obviously are dynamically assigned to a specific item. In order to demonstrate it then, I prepared actually a tiny video here. So let's run it. All right, so coming back, mobile application for report receipt. There we have an order to fill in. So traditionally we can do it just by basically by typing in. You see there's also an embedded feature for scanning. But what I would do, I would simply press the filter to fetch all available orders pending to be received, manufacturing orders. Here we have lists, product and order. And when I tap on order, you see there's like a big list with all the listed orders pending to be received. However, we made this field depend on the product. So that's also a new feature that came with the Connect. As soon as I decide for a particular product number and tap on it, then basically when I choose the order, then my list narrows down to only those orders where that product exists. I press next to continue. There we get a list of all available orders with this particular product number. Yellow dot here indicates that this product is sort of work in progress, meaning that there is partially receipt has been already done. We see there's 90 pieces remaining. I tap on it to continue. Then we have those user steps that I said before that are adapting dynamically. First, we need to type in a lot number. And again, depending on the process, we can either type in it manually. We can also use the barcode if there is, for instance, a label printed already in a line. All depends, obviously, on the customer and industry. Upon pressing next, I basically continue to the next user step. Please have a look at the header that is constantly updating with the previous values. Next thing is the report package. There, besides the package number, we need to also choose the package type, or so it's called at M3, the packaging. So tapping on it, basically what it does is that it gives us a list fetched from M3, and this list, obviously, we can narrow down to particular values that we use the search bar for. I'm choosing the box. And then the package number. Again, either I can type it in, use the scanner, or actually leave it empty so that let the system actually create a number for me. Let's see what it comes with. There's a checkpoint message coming with an SSCC number being assigned to the package. And the final thing is actually the attributes. So this item is attribute managed as well. Here we actually get connected to the model and the lines of the attributes, where we have size, material, color, and there here on the right-hand side with a column with a value, which is editable. So tapping on it actually gives us an option to provide the value for each of those three attributes. And that's exactly what I'm doing in this video. I'm choosing large for the size. Then I tap on that little arrow, just directly jumping to the next material attribute. There we have a material, which I choose glass for. And the final is a color, which I choose black. Once I'm happy with the result, I press the little arrow there, and then I press next to continue. We are almost there. Now we just need to report the final mandatory fields, that is the quantity. There's no catch weight here specifically, so just the quantity and the basic unit of measure. Once I press down, I jump to the final screen, which is the report to location. And then again, as with all the other input fields, I can either fill it in, scan the barcodes as typical customers do, or actually list them. So I could fetch the list of all available locations for that specific manufacturing order. So I can choose it from the list available here. I can also narrow it down using our search bar, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm typing an example of an ID of one of the rack locations available. Once I'm happy with the result, upon tapping on a location, it will automatically trigger a report button. We get a success message that order is received. And as you can see now, it went down to 80 pieces left to be received. Okay, let's jump back to the presentation. I probably need to share it again for some strange reason. It doesn't directly jump automatically. All right, and I'm already sorry for the technicalities here, but sometimes it happens this way. Yep, Flowscript modules in practice. I think the best way in order to compare them is just to give like a real example. So here on the left-hand side, you will see Classic. On the right-hand side, you will see Novacura Flow Connect. In a Classic, if we have a look at this particular piece of the process, after the report package user step, what we need to do is we need to verify using an API if a particular package number exists. And that's basically this part of the flow. We check a couple of, if there is no internal errors inside coming from the REST call, then we assign a specific package number, the check was done. And then if a particular package exists, we basically continue here and we assign a variable. But if it doesn't, then we run an extra API to create a package in a stock. And again, with the first call, we also need to check upon any particular potential errors, assign a temporary value. Then at the end, those two processes meet together and we get a variable about the package number. The same process you can do in Novacura Flow basically using one single script step, which utilizes the functions from the so-called Flowscript modules. And then when it comes to the Flowscript modules and how to utilize them, here's a small video which I prepared for you. What you see here is a designer, and the modules are dragged and drop onto the canvas just like that. In our labs, well, if I could call it this way, what we understand a module is basically the MI program. So each and every module consists of Infor MI program, all the transactions, inputs and outputs within that MI program. These are located in organization assets on the left-hand side. So of course, the list is rather long. So you can also use the search bar and try to find your particular module you're interested in. In order to do and utilize it, we simply drag and drop it just like done it and make sure that it is using the latest version. So that's why we press the button refresh assets. Once the module is there, MDS-LVM MI, in my example, we can call it using the script step. And that's exactly what you see also on the left-hand side. Luckily, in my flow, I have a script step, and what it does is that it comes back with a table with all potential possible orders to be received from a manufacturing order. Here's an example of a script step. First of all, we assigned a connector, description for our AI model, bunch of variables to define, and then we have the functions for input and output. And as you can see, there are a bunch of variables that we use to fetch, like for instance, the facility number, as well as the status of manufacturer order from and to. In order to add any more condition to the input field in this particular example, the only thing what you need to do is just separate with comma and basically start to type a particular value from an input API. And as you can see directly, there's a tooltip that pops up with all possible values for the input. Those of you guys that are sort of familiar and literate with APIs, you directly know that MFNO stands for manufacturing orders. But in order to facilitate for those users that are not that familiar with APIs, in the future releases, we're also planning to add, let's say human language descriptions. So it's a little bit of a descriptive manner shown. We assign the variable for the order number, and we can continue with the output. As you can see, the output, what I'm highlighting right now, very much resembles the traditional SQL statement query. So there is a bit of a select, there is from the used API, which I provided in line 12, and then we can also apply a where clause in this particular sense that please show me all the orders from a specific warehouse and if the order was applied or not. If I don't want to fetch all the columns from that API, I can take asterisk, which means basically select all, and I can literally start to type in the columns which comes in the output. And again, as this with the input, look, there is directly a column, like a tooltip that comes with possible values that you can provide. And again, you can use it, you can assign a specific descriptive label for it and utilize it later on for your future grids and lists. So to summarize it, basically the benefits of Flowscripts modules are, as you've seen, we can put a lot of things inside so that the flows themselves dramatically decrease in size. You can put complex calculations inside, which are happening in a repetitive manner. So you can use all the Flowscript modules across the applications or organization. And what is the most important, it literally feels like that like SQL statement queries. So people that are having less coding experience can also utilize it a lot. With this being said, I will hand it over to Aaqil and IFS team. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Tuned in. So in my presentation, I will be walking you along the aisles of IFS Marketplace and what additions we have in our shelves. My agenda today will look something like this. So I will begin with a brief overview to one of our net new applications called Maintenance Survey. And this is a simple yet useful application that is being used across multiple business processes. So the overview will be followed by 2 brief demos on how we could create a maintenance survey and execute it thereafter. And then we can have a glimpse to the latest additions to our marketplace. All right, so let's get started with the overview. So initially, select the application. The maintenance survey app package consists of 2 applications, one for creating and the other for execution. Create maintenance survey application is mainly used by admins, field service managers, in other words, survey creators. And execution maintenance survey will be used by end users, such as service engineers and service technicians. And once we select an application, then we move ahead to the user authentication part. So why do we need user authentication? Maintenance surveys actually drills down to the work assignment level, which has been assigned to a particular resource. So we need to enable resources to authenticate themselves through their own users. And this is where we introduce interactive authentication. This will, in other words, allow resources to log in through their own users and thereby provide a sense of ownership to the transactions from that point onwards. And now let's look into what are the steps that we simply need to follow in order to create our survey. So we will be directed into a create or edit survey screen, and then we have the opportunity to build our survey header, followed by selecting different question types, adding the questions, and we have an approve stage and a publish stage. So once the survey is being published, it opens up the opportunity for the service engineers or the end users to execute the survey from that point onwards. All right, so I do have 2 demos briefly explaining about how we can create and then moving to how we can execute it, the maintenance survey. Before that, let me take a real world example where we have a group of service engineers in our organization. And let's assume they are operating in multiple regions around the globe in different time zones. So as a field service manager, I need to gather some information from my technicians all over the globe. And I cannot individually speak to them one by one. So I need to devise a plan to gather more feedback or gather more information right before they complete an assignment. So that's my requirement. And let's see how we can do it through the demo. So keeping that scenario in mind, let me jump into my demo screen. And so I am currently inside my maintenance survey app package. So you can see 2 applications. So let's begin by creating the maintenance survey. So this will ask me a question whether I require external access is required, so I can continue, which will direct me to the IFS landing page. And from here, if your user is configured with IAM client credentials, which is the case for me, you can simply proceed from that path. If not, you can simply enter your user credentials through your username and password. So if I move ahead, so authentication to IFS was successful. and in we go to the application. So I go ahead and I start creating my survey. So there are a bunch of fields that are already pre-filled. As you can see, survey ID, survey name, description, and creation date. So you can have a time frame for which your survey to be enabled, and thereafter it could close down. So you can set that from here. And you can have an introductory text and ending text if you want to convey some information, remarks to your technicians. And if you can recall, I need information right before my technicians complete their work assignment. So I need to set it correctly under workflow type. So I go ahead and I select completed before. And thereafter you can configure the survey depending on your requirements. So I simply enable show introductory text and ending text and proceed forward. So this will take me to the screen where I need to select multiple question types depending on my requirement. So let's create a bunch of questions. So I begin with an open-ended question. I need to know the code of the task that the technician is about to complete. And I select overhead and create a numerical question. So enter the current meter reading of the unit in machine. So let's assume they are servicing generators. So I need the current machine are reading, and I need a confirmation for that answer. So I set it up and move ahead with a yes or no question. Do you have all required tools to complete the assignment? Okay. Multiple choice. What safety protocols were observed? So you can configure your alternative lists from IFS end as well, and they will be fetched in here so that you can simply click it along with the flow. So safety protocols, I move ahead, and I also need a date type question where I want to know the next date of that particular service to be scheduled. And moving ahead, finally, I will ask for a signatory confirmation from my technician. And along with it, I move ahead to approve and then publish my survey. So with those simple steps, you can navigate and simply complete your survey with a simple flow. And once that is completed, now I shift my shoes into an service engineer. And in there, I go ahead and try to execute the maintenance survey that has been published. So when I navigate into the application, I have a bunch of assignments that I have already been accepted, or some assignments that I've already started to work on with. So I go ahead, select an assignment that I started to work, and let's assume I've done my part, I've done the assignment task, and it's about to complete. So I go ahead and select complete. So this brings me to the survey that was published, and I can begin answering it. So enter the code for the task you're about to complete. I enter a code, navigate to next, and add the machine hours of the respective equipment. And let's assume I had all the tools and parts required to complete the assignment. And what safety protocols were observed. So this will show the multiple choices that we have predefined. So lockout, tagout procedures, PPE, both A and B, none of the hazards. So let's assume in my case, I had to use both safety protocols. And moving ahead, what schedule date for the next service? So let's assume it should happen every 3 months, and I select it to be on a working day. All right, I try to complete it along with my signature here. And I can clear it, or I can save it and then proceed. So this will be my ending note, and I select next. So my assignment status also has been changed. As you can see, the work that was started has now been completed. So that brings me to the end of my demo. Let me navigate to my presentation. So if I move ahead, yeah, I would like to show you how it'll look like from the IFS end, where you can see your survey answers of the survey that you attempted. And if you notice, the answers also reflect the user or the resource through which I authenticated the application. And so what I demoed is not only an application you can use off the shelf, but also you can use it as a template to build upon. And we do understand that each business operation is unique, and you have the opportunity to tailor it to suit your business requirement. And at the same time, I would like to encourage you to use the products, and we would love to hear your experience and feedback. So as you can see in the screen, we have a bunch of application packages available in Flow Connect, and you can also scan through to our marketplace website. With that said, I would like to conclude, and thank you very much. I will hand over to Paul from here.
All right, so the features that I'm showing in front of you now represent the progress we've made in the quarter on Flow Connect beyond what is being demonstrated today. It is a small subset of the features that we've delivered. I'd suggest that to explore more of our new capabilities, please visit our release logs at docs.novacura.com. Also, at this point, you've seen a good bit of information in these demos. We have a lot of info to share, and it's a lot to consume typically. So just a reminder, it is okay to ask as many questions as you may have in the Q&A section. We have people monitoring that section, and we'll do our best to answer those in real time. If not, we will save them for the end and hopefully be able to answer your questions. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Flow Classic. For the Infor M3 connector, if you're not aware of this, Infor M3 has made a change to their current version on how their payloads return errors to us. So we've enhanced our error handling to give you more control on how the response types are managed in this connector. So now admins can configure error responses in two options. They're called empty records and nil records. And we've given these options because there are still customers that sit on older versions of Infor M3 and others that are on newer versions. So choosing the empty record option will return a blank response in case of an error. And then alternatively, the nil record will return some nil value, which helps you sort of pinpoint issues during debugging and troubleshooting. I think this flexibility allows you to tailor the connector behavior based on your own requirements. So take a look at this inside of Flow Classic. We've also made some changes to the OPC-UA connector, which is a really nice connector, but I think it's important to maybe talk a little bit about what OPC-UA is starting. So this is referred to as Open Platform Communication Unified Architecture. It's really an industrial communication standard designed to be able to securely and reliably exchange data between systems. It enables connectivity between devices, applications, and even systems in industrial environments. So sort of bridges the gap into Industry 4.0, right? You have all of these systems that are out there, manufacturing equipments that are reporting, and an OPC-UA is a standard way of communicating to and from those pieces of equipment, as depicted to the right side here. A lot of people like to refer to this as smart factories or Industry 4.0, connecting devices. So for our OPC-UA connector, we've added support for user credential authentications and certificate-based authentications. So this allows for more secure communication when connecting to your OPC-UA servers. The connector also now supports extension objects for both design and runtime. So this allows you to handle different structures that you may have for support for custom defined types that you have within your OPC UA servers. Within the integration engine, we've made some changes to status handling. The feature that I'm showing in front of you here allows administrators to manually update the status of the integration execution to handled. This feature was actually designed for situations where we have failed transactions in our integration engine, and they've been resolved outside of the integration engine themselves in a third-party system. It actually just lets us resolve issues by putting them to handled and making sure that we don't retry that or reprocess unnecessarily. So the other benefit here is that you can actually go into this view and see all statuses of your integration executions, providing clear visibility into the history and resolution of all of your runs. We've also made some changes to executing HTTP triggers within the integration engine. An error response will now immediately be sent back to the originating systems if the workflow fails to reach the end step of your workflow. This replaces the previous behavior where systems would counter timeouts, typically, significantly improving the efficiency of your error handling. We think that the benefit here is that you can enhance your processing times by promptly informing those third-party systems that you've had a failure within the workflow for some given reason. And this is just a short list of the features that we've delivered here now in Q4. There are a longer laundry list of features, and we actually just released 6.15.13 the other day. So please, again, if you haven't read up on what we have released in details, you can go and see that at our release logs at docs.novacura.com. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's in the future for Flow. I think one of our primary goals for Q1 is to focus on getting our currently unsupported customers onboarded into Flow Connect. And that comes, as we begin to speak to our customers, it comes in a few major features that we're working on now. The first is offline applications. We want to be able to ensure that we're able to execute applications without internet connectivity. This is quite a heavily used feature in our customer base today, and we want to be able to bring that over into Flow Connect. The next will be automations, specifically automations in scheduled jobs. So this quarter, we plan to complete HTTP triggers within Flow Connect. So we should be able to execute machine workflows. The next step will be getting that to be scheduled machine workflows for those who are familiar with that functionality in Classic. We will be working on the map portlet here. I did believe Ola did a really nice job of showing the portlets that are missing, and we continue to expand and bring those into the Flow Connect. And then translations to support multiple languages for global collaboration. I'll talk a little bit about this here in the next slide. We also need some support for time zone capabilities here, particularly support for that within our portal solution. And then we will be working on the Flowscript Copilot, which I'll talk about again in a little bit. So after this quarter, the hope is that we are able to bring on our customers onto Flow Connect. We will be able to support you in whatever functions and features you are using. And then we're going to start to work on a new way to flow, which has a lot of different capabilities wrapped around new user-oriented features that we want to see within the clients. So offline. Offline is ideally meant to support seamless operations without internet connectivity. we have a lot of ideas on how we can better this, particularly wrapped around the way that we not bring data, but push data back, and what happens when we're making runs within an offline connected state on the applications. So you'll note that every slide that I have in front of you shows to the right a QR code. The QR code at the bottom right side will navigate you to our ideas forums. And we ask that you scan that code, share your thoughts. If you are an offline user today, we would love to hear your feedback on how we can make this better. There are a lot of ideas floating around there in our ideas forum. We do want to expand upon that. This is your opportunity to be part of the process as we begin to define how this will work in the future. Automations. So here, automations is the term that we use for machine workflows from Flow Classic. The automations are ways to sort of boost efficiency within repetitive tasks, but do it server side. This feature, again, replaces the machine workflows on Flow Connect, and ideally, it's a small stepping stone to our larger picture, which would be getting the integration engine offering on Flow Connect in the future. So once again, if you have some feedback on how to make this better, please do ask your questions, put this into the ideas forum, give us your feedback, and we'd like to hear from you on how to make it better. Now, translations is an exciting one. We think translations and the ability to support multiple languages is critically important for our business, and ideally our customers and partners' businesses. We are a global company. We know that this process is cumbersome today to add translations into your applications, and we think that there's a better way of handling this in the next quarter. We do want to see a way to do this more globally across our platform, but we have ideas floating around. There are some already in the ideas form, and we would love to hear from you on how we can make this better. There are ideas floating around as well using AI in this application to be able to support quicker translations for our customers. So exciting times for our translation feature. We've also kicked off a web designer. I think if you've watched some of these demos, you may have seen a sneak peek of how to open up the web designer. The web designer will allow us to be able to edit these applications in Studio without having to do any downloads. Now, right now, we are focused on the editing of a user step, particularly a user step and a user step element within that web designer, in hopes of getting a one-for-one parity between our current designer and the web designer. But this work will continue on for a few quarters to go. So as you may have feedback for us, please do provide that here at this QR code. And then today, I hope you've seen an emphasis on Flowscript. One key takeaway in Flow Connect is that we are relying on Flowscript quite heavily to do a lot of the work for us. And we're trying to make that simple and easy and intuitive. But I think because of that emphasis, we also need to recognize that we have people who may not know Flowscript that well, and we are trying to find ways like Copilot assistance to build in intelligent and streamlined scripting of these Flowscript modules with natural language. So we have a pilot out here today of this where we're able to generate live Flowscript with a chatbot, and we want to continue to expand upon this. I know that we find that there will be a lot of use cases for our product. There will be a lot of use cases for Copilot within our product. This is only one of them, and it's probably the lowest hanging fruit as customers come on board into Flow Connect. However, if you have feedback for us on how you would like to see Copilots get used, or specifically what your pain points are with Flowscript today and what you may want to see done better, this is an opportunity to voice that and put it into our ideas forum. Now, we talked a lot about what we're offering up in this next quarter, but I think it's important to note that your voices drive our priorities. So not only are we looking at these features, we are constantly looking at the ideas form for the next best feature. If you would, and you have a good idea, please put it into the ideas form. We are reviewing that on a bi-weekly basis, and we're trying to prioritize based on your feedback. With that said, I think we can open it up to some Q&A. Irshad, do we have some questions in the queue in the last 4 minutes?
So we don't have many questions, but one question that's been asked is when you in the demo we saw the modules for Infor and 3. How about IFS Cloud? How does the Flowscript modules work with IFS Cloud?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm sure Aaqil can answer this. I'll take a stab at it too. But right now, I think the idea is to use a projection, much like you saw program. So a projection would be a Flowscript module, which then can be called in any Flowscript step, not too dissimilar to the way that it was being called in Infor M3. And I know Adam didn't get a chance to showcase this, but they've built an application that actually auto-generates those Flowscript modules. So it actually like creates those modules live based on metadata that exists inside of the Infor M3 product. And the same could be done inside the IFS system, right? So there are metadators behind those projections for IFS Cloud. We can consume them, build these Flowscript modules ideally, and then ultimately use them within the workflows in an easy SQL, I'll call it SQL-esque way, right? Select X from this table, much like we used to in IFS 10. Do you want to add anything to that, Andreas or Aaqil, or did I nail that one?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. So we are working on the ability to automatically create modules based on IFS projections, CSDL as it's called, so the definition of a projection. So we'll automatically generate the Flowscript code needed and a module inside your organization or package. So, and then you can use the exact same way of interacting with that, as I showed a little bit in my demo, and especially Adam, where you can write SQL-like queries for the projections as well.
Maybe we can take one more question before the end. Will there be a low-code version of Infor M3 or IFS connectors in Connect?
Yes, so the idea is that we will provide kind of a low-code layer on top of modules. So you will be able to select first, okay, which module do I want to use, and then which function, and then you get automatically the parameter list, and you can select the values for them from your variables in your app. Similar to the way it works for REST connectors, M3 connectors, OData connectors in Classic.
Very nice. There is another question that came through. So let's take that one before we close out. We have 1 other minute. So how does a customer get access to the components containing the MI programs or APIs? Is there something you need to purchase from Novacura or something that you can develop yourself, Adam? That's a great question. You want to land that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is basically how to get the access to the components. I mean, we're talking about the Flowscript modules, or?
Yeah, they're asking for the Flowscript components containing the MI programs, right? So, yeah, I mean, there's a couple different ways that I think of. One, you could ideally just get the marketplace application, which comes directly with the components, because if you share that application, it has to come with the components. They are dependent upon the app. So the app has the component. The other option is to use the same application we are currently using to generate those components, right? Because our library may only have, let's just say, 50 programs, right? That's an estimate. But if you want to get all access to every component, then the same tool we're using to generate those could be used by any customer to be able to actually build those components inside of Connect.
That's correct.
Add anything to that? Am I missing any other scenario?
No, you nailed it perfectly well. So just on top of that, just want to add, like, obviously, sometimes there are situations when there are certain MI programs and we haven't listed, like, for instance, the modified APIs. And obviously, that tool generator can be used for CMS 100 MI transactions, inputs and output to generate exactly in the same way. And that tool obviously is free of charge, so we let the customer use it. Absolutely. So
very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I know we're up on time. If there are other questions that have gone unanswered, we will do our best to reach out to you via email and get those answered. But thank you very much, and we look forward to doing this again next quarter. With that said, I will close out this. Thank you. I appreciate everyone.